Are Chinese companies buying U.S. farmland? The issue has become a flashpoint in the relationship between China and the United States. Some members of Congress and states are trying to ban foreign ownership of agricultural land to protect the U.S. food supply chain and to prevent foreign adversaries from using U.S. land to spy on the U.S. Land grabbing is when a government, company, or other entity purchases large swaths of land in another country. This can affect local land rights and agricultural production, sometimes putting local food security at risk. While such purchases in low and middle income countries have been covered extensively, they also happen here in the United States. Foreign ownership of U.S. agricultural land doubled from 2009 to 2019, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture records, and policymakers have become increasingly concerned about foreign control of the U.S. food supply. However, the concern is not just about the food supply. CNBC reports about concerns that arose in 2022 when a Chinese company, Fufeng Group, bought 300 acres of land near Grand Forks, North Dakota to set up a corn milling plant. Why the concern? The property is about 20 minutes away from Grand Forks Air Force Base, home to some of the nation's most sensitive military drone technology. At first glance, the largely barren, wind-swept tract of land just north of Grand Forks, North Dakota, seems to be an unlikely location for international espionage. There's not much more than 300-acre patch of prime Dakota farmland right now other than dirt and tall grasses bordered by highways and light industrial facilities on the outskirts of the city. The nearest neighbors include a crop production company, a truck and trailer service outfit, and Patio World, which sells landscaping supplies for suburban backyards. But when the three North Dakotans who own the parcels of land here sold them for millions of dollars this spring, the transaction raised alarm bells as far away as Washington, D.C. In this video, we will take a look into why Chinese companies and individuals are showing such a surprising interest in U.S. farmland, and whether this could be a dangerous trend for our food supply chain and even our national security. So make sure to watch till the end to find out if China and other foreigners are planning to take over our home farmland. Senators Chuck Grassley, Republican Iowa, a lifelong farmer and member of the Senate Agriculture Committee, and Tammy Baldwin, Democrat, Wisconsin, introduced the Bipartisan Farmland Security Act to increase scrutiny over foreign investments in American agricultural land. The legislation ensures that the American people and Congress have the information needed to address the impact foreign investments have on family farms, rural communities, and the domestic food supply. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more information on important topics that affect the everyday life of Americans. I've been sounding the alarm on the increase in foreign-owned farmland for decades and was the original author of the Agriculture Foreign Investment Disclosure Act. Foreign buyers, especially those backed by governments like China, buying up prime farmland here in the U.S. raises serious national security concerns, and the American people have a right to know about it. By requiring the USDA to report these purchases in real time, we can keep better track of the impact these acquisitions could have on our rural communities. The Farmland Security Act will also help protect domestic food production and our national security interests, Grassley said. Across the country, the 2013 purchase of Smithfield Foods by the Chinese firm Shuanghui, now called WH Group, received national attention and escalated concerns about Chinese intervention in U.S. food systems. The deal meant that WH Group now owns the largest pork producer in the United States, as well as over 146,000 acres of Missouri farmland. Missouri had formally banned all foreign ownership of agricultural land in the state, but 1 week before Shuanghui took over Smithfield, that rule changed to allow foreign entities to own up to 1% of the state's farmland. Critics claim that the rule change was instrumental in allowing the deal to go through as written, and some members of Congress warned of Chinese government involvement in the purchase. Smithfield is vertically integrated and owns all aspects of its supply chain, meaning that WH Group now controls a significant portion of U.S. pork production and revenue in addition to farmland. Large land purchases can present various localized concerns that might not be noticed at first hand. For example, in water-scarce regions like the Southwest, outside use of freshwater resources can affect water availability for local farms and communities. Arizona, for instance, has no rules on groundwater pumping as long as it is for a beneficial use, which includes agriculture even if the products are shipped elsewhere. Near a 10,000-acre hay farm run by a Saudi subsidiary, local residents say their wells are going dry. It is not only foreign companies who take advantage of this regulatory loophole. However, companies from other states and cities around the United States are also buying up land in Arizona to take advantage of the state's loose water regulations, putting Arizona's long-term water resources at risk. In addition to the Chinese interest in U.S. agricultural land, the farmland values are also up 23% from a year ago in the Midwest, driven by rising commodity costs. Farmland rents in Iowa have increased 10.22% so far in 2022, and there will soon be additional opportunities. As adults over 65 years of age hold more than 40% of the farmland in the U.S., hundreds of millions of their acres will change hands in the coming years. The high cost of land is regularly cited as the biggest obstacle to entrance for would-be farmers, which is encouraging for real estate agents but problematic for them. The issue transcends rural areas. Consolidation in the farming sector contributed to the barren grocery shelves during the early stages of the COVID-19 outbreak. The patterns that cause such shortages can be resisted by smaller, more creative, and productive farms. Nevertheless, they need land to accomplish it. Farming was a profession reserved for the young, the fit, and those with big families before technology gave rise to factory farms. Elderly farmers toiled in the fields but gradually handed down their expertise and land to the following generation. In February, the Agriculture Department released a report examining the U.S. food chain, its vulnerabilities, and opportunities to strengthen resiliency. The first listed priority is addressing concentration and consolidation in food production, manufacturing, and distribution. A key means for doing so, according to the report, is boosting local and regional food networks such as farmers markets, food boxes, and e-commerce channels that provided a safety net to consumers and producers during the early days of the pandemic. Around 23% of beginning farmers sell through regional and local markets, and as any visitor to a Midwestern farmers market can attest, many of them are young. Working in parallel with other less established farmers, they are the vanguard for a food sector that's adapting to climate change and changing consumer tastes. Several bills are being introduced at the federal and state levels to prevent foreign ownership of U.S. farmland. However, for the long-term U.S. food security, perhaps the larger concern is why up-and-coming U.S. farmers are unable to buy the land they need. According to the NYFC, young and aspiring farmers say access to land is their largest barrier to starting a successful farm business. With an aging U.S. farmer population and not enough new farmers able to enter the industry, more land will inevitably be converted to other uses or sold to foreign and domestic investors unless policies are put in place to support the next generation of farmers. Focusing narrowly on land purchases by Chinese companies or other foreign entities will not address the full scope of this problem. Policymakers should, instead, consider the many threats facing the future of the U.S. food system and ensure that current and aspiring farmers have the resources they need to secure long-term U.S. food production, starting with access to affordable farmland. In addition to federal action, some states like Arizona could do more to protect their local resources and communities from exploitation by domestic and foreign entities. Up next, we have a suggested video for you to watch. Simply click on the top of the screen to continue learning with us.